minutes till broadcast. Minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Say what? Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Wednesday, halfway through the week, probably even more so than that for those that are getting off a little early for the holiday. What are you talking about there? Welcome in, broadcasting live across the nation here in the heartland of America, off the flagship station of the Big Talker, KQAM in Wichita, Kansas. It's great to have you for the ride as we do every single day, trying to jam-pack 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag as we rebrand the young generation, one radio listener at a time. We are broadcasting all over radio, TV, live streaming on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on the website at HoosierReason.com. Make sure and go check it out. Also live streaming on Podbean as well. If you do the Podbean app stuff and do the podcasting, we're there each and every day. Thanks for hanging out. Boy, we got a show for you today. Did you know this did not make the news a whole lot? I was listening throughout the radio today, and I had heard the news, but it wasn't like a big breaking thing. And I went on the news sites, and you actually have to go digging for it because it wasn't a big deal. Why is this not front page news of the fact that the autonomous zone, CHOP or Chaz or whatever the heck they try to call it, has been broken up? Oh my. Oh my. And there's something special for you. So I have a treat for you today. I was going to wait and do it tomorrow, but we might as well do it today because I think it's appropriate for the interesting day we've had with the autonomous zone being broken up in Seattle, Washington. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But we have a great guest on the line with us today. I'm really excited to have him on. As last week, if you remember, the big news was the Supreme Court has come out and talked about making decisions on a plethora of things, and they refused to touch the Second Amendment issues. There were about 10 cases they could have picked up and made a decision on based on the Second Amendment. There was one when it came to immigration. There was one that came to the LGBTQ community. This week they talked about an abortion issue. So the Supreme Court's been active lately. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was able to hobble herself into the Supreme Court and actually talk about things of relative importance. Not that she makes the right judgment calls on it, but that she at least hobbled herself in there to make a judgment on something. But I want to go back to one of those issues because it's extremely important, and I think it's something that obviously has been a huge issue with a lot of voters. President Donald Trump really talked about it most of the time during his campaign and has talked about it quite a bit during his presidency. But when it comes to DACA and the repealing of DACA, if you remember, the Supreme Court decision came back saying that he wasn't able to repeal the executive order. Now, they came back with the judgment and the opinion that he wasn't able to do it in the way he was trying to do it or didn't have a proper justification, which I don't quite understand because it's an executive order and a president could just, I now repeal this executive order, and it's done. But they said they wasn't allowed to do that, so he has to try it again and do it a different way. So I wanted to chat and talk about it a little bit deeper and how we move forward from here and what it's done for the country, good, bad, or indifferent. But I'm excited. He is the editorial director for reactionarytimes.com. He's also a featured columnist at the Washington Times, the Toronto Sun, the Epoch Times, and the American Thinker. Mr. Julio Rivera hanging out with us today. Julio, how are you, my friend?
I am fantastic, Andy. Glad to be on with you.
It's so great to have you on the program. It's such an important, big issue. Immigration has been a huge issue, especially the last couple of years. But even before that, I mean, there were a couple candidates that ran. I remember back in 2008, Tom Tancredo really made immigration and illegal immigration a national topic, and it's been kind of floating on the surface since then. But Trump made it a major issue with the Build the Wall thing, and then the talk about repealing DACA. Let's talk about the decision first from the Supreme Court. Why do you think the U.S. Supreme Court came back and said you're not allowed to repeal this executive order, at least in the way that you tried to do it, and you need more justification?
Well, you know what? Honestly, my biggest issue with that is the fact that the Supreme Court took this case on at all. Because if you look at Article 3 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court's there to interpret the supreme law of the land. You know, and what I'm talking about are bills and legislation that's actually passed through Congress. You know, obviously, the president has certain executive power, which DACA was an executive overreach. I mean, let's just be completely honest about that. I mean, it was unconstitutional in its implementation. Mm-hmm. It should have never been done. You know, so, and even more to the point, because it shouldn't have been done, it shouldn't have been an issue that the Supreme Court should have gotten involved in. President Trump should have been able, just like it created by executive order under the presidential powers, it should have been repealed by executive order under the presidential powers. So the Supreme Court shouldn't even have meddled in what President Trump was supposed to be doing here. As far as the issue itself, of course, it's a major issue, and it was the signature issue of President Trump in 2016. I remember the chants of build the wall, reverberating through arenas all over the country as, you know, America really got, and the Trump campaign kind of galvanized behind that issue. You know, as far as what to do now, I mean, there's a lot of different directions that we can take this, Andy. But the one thing I will say is this: the Democrats always like to stick, you know, immigration on the Republicans and the fate of the dreamers. Oh, God, what of the dreamers? But the truth of the matter is, back, if you remember, in January of 2018, President Trump was trying to push a bill, and he was trying to find support from Democrats in the Senate, because the Republicans still had the House at that time, of a bill that would have finally solved the issue of the dreamers, and it would have been comprehensive immigration reform and border security, and everything was chalked in here. And the president was even willing to do something that I didn't agree with, which was he was going to go ahead and grant legalization to a pathway to citizenship and legalization of 1.8 million illegal. It was ridiculous at the time, and I know a lot of conservatives didn't really like that part of it, but It would have solved long-term the issue, because it was $25 billion, which right now sounds like nothing when you consider that we're probably going to spend about $6 trillion in all these coronavirus stimuluses, but $25 billion for the wall and for additional border agents and ICE agents, and an end to chain migration and certain things like that. But the Democrats would have finally been able to go to the Hispanic community that they love to pander to and say, hey, we got 1.8 million of you guys a pathway to citizenship. But, of course, the Democrats didn't take it because the Democrats, in reality, couldn't care less about brown people.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you're spot on all across the board when it comes to this. I mean, they didn't want immigration reform because, number one, you're right. They don't care about, I mean, they've always been the party of segregation and the party of division anyways. They love to play the identity politics, which is what the Democrat Party is based of. That's their entire base since the beginning of the founding of their party. But they also didn't want Donald Trump to get the credit for actually doing proper immigration reform when they labeled him as the evil racist that doesn't like brown people because he wants to close off the wall and not let anybody else in there. So, of course, they weren't going to do it. And I remember that. And I was upset just as much about giving amnesty to 1.8 million illegal aliens because here's my thought. In a DACA, and you can kind of elaborate a little bit deeper on this, DACA has always been one where I struggled so much. And even I've gotten hits from conservatives saying, Andy, they were children. They were innocent when they got here. They were illegal, yes, but they came with their parents. It wasn't their fault. Now they're my age. I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm a millennial. They're my age. How long has it been that they haven't taken responsibility to say, I didn't come here by my own choice when I was a child. I'm going to make daggone sure that I'm going to rectify that situation and get in a proper, better status. So therefore, I'm not turned away from my family if I ever get caught, sort of deal. At what point do we just pass on the blame continuously, or do we finally take responsibility? I want a pathway to citizenship, but you have to do it in the right way, just like anybody else. I don't see why that's a big issue.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you really want to be here and you really want to be an American, you have to do, the most basic of things, which is live legally, subscribe to the letter of the law, not live in the shadows, do all those sorts of things. Like with the Dreamers, they're a special little sliver of, and it's really, if you think about it, there's only 600 to 800,000 people that fall under that designation. I'm thinking that right now at this point, because of, the messaging that was sent out when that program was created by like Barack Obama and a lot of the people who were really soft on immigration, we probably have upwards of anywhere between like 15 and 25 million total illegals in our country. So the Dreamers are only really a small number of that. And the reason that I kind of don't really have the biggest issue, and I'm an immigration hardliner, but I don't have the biggest issue that if we get concessions like ending chain migration and we get more funding for the wall, and we're able to do it through Congress and not necessarily Trump kind of moving money around and reallocating things that, taking money from the military or doing this or a million other things that he's had to kind of contort to try to get the money to do the building of the wall that he's doing right now. I have a little bit of a different feeling on the Dreamers because of the fact that American taxpayers, in a sense, already made an investment into educating these people. These people went to our schools. A lot of them are already employed in some way. There's even some Dreamers that are like serving in the military. So in a sense, they're a little bit different than the people that walk across the border. They're definitely different than, MS-13 or any of the human traffickers or the gangbangers or those types of people that come across the border that we should immediately apprehend and get them, far back behind that border. But, if we were able to do something, I think it would be good optics for the Republican Party to come back to, the Hispanic community and say, okay, we offered them protection because keeping DACA alive, the Democrats, really it's an insidious thing. And we have a video on Reactionary Times on our Facebook and on our YouTube where I kind of go into this. All DACA does in continuing this program, it relegates these Dreamers into a permanent second-class status in America because it doesn't really offer them a true path to citizenship or they're like barely legal. It's like, okay, you can stay, but we're not really doing anything for you to try to basically to assimilate you into the American culture and make you real Americans. It's a permanent, kind of a lesser class of person within the borders of America. And if they really cared about these people, they would probably have taken Trump up on what he wanted to do and not make this into a political issue every 2 years. The only time that you really ever hear Democrats talking about, whether it's Mexicans or South Americans or any sort of illegals in our country seems to only be when they're campaigning. Now, in this last legislative session, since the Democrats have had control of the House, let's look at what they've actually focused on. You know, we had a government shutdown, you know, right at the heels of them taking power, right? They with over 2.4, remember the government shutdown, which was a historic government shutdown in terms of length,
Right.
was only over $2.4 billion that Trump wanted additionally for the wall. You know, that's, and I don't want to downplay the significance of it because I'm a fiscal conservative too. $2.4 billion sounds like a lot of money, but in the whole scheme of things, that's less than 1/10 of 1% of the total federal budget. And the Democrats were willing to keep government employees at home, you know, not working, furloughed, going through financial difficulties right around Christmas. Remember that. That happened at the end of the year. It was late 2018 into early 2019. Those are the lengths that they're willing to go to try to obstruct President Trump. And then on the other hand, this is the same party that
I tell you what, Julio,
billions of dollars of pork into the coronavirus stimulus bill.
Hold that thought just for a second. We got so many directions we want to go with that. We got to take a break here real quick, though. It's Julio Rivera, reactionarytimes.com. Lots more to get to here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, you are. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. 24 minutes past the hour. Great to have you along today for a Wednesday, the most patriotic week in the whole country, although it should be that way the entire year. I love it. I love the conversation we're having right now. Julio Rivera, he is the editorial director for ReactionaryTimes.com, also columnist for Washington Times, the Toronto Sun, the American Thinker, all the good jazz. Make sure to visit, though, ReactionaryTimes.com. Great news, great information. Unspun, so to speak, the real news, accurate stuff, and things that you won't hear a lot in the mainstream media. There's so many directions that I want to go with you after that last conversation. Let's start off with what you mentioned right towards the end, was the fact that the DACA, essentially the DACA program, if you're in the DACA program, you're kind of in limbo. You can stay, but you're not necessarily a citizen. I don't think you can even vote if you're on DACA. I don't remember if you can or not, but if you're a quote-unquote second-class person in America because you're on this program, why are they okay staying on this, and why did they fight so hard to be on it and to continue on it? Is it because they're not aware of that status, or is it because they're just okay with it?
No, I think a lot of it has to do with fear, and that's why they talk about living in the shadows all the time. You know, but the permanent solution would be to grant that legalization, make it official, and start them on a path to citizenship. You know, give them an opportunity to get there. Not immediately, and don't give them voting rights immediately either. I mean, I want them to. I would say a pathway to citizenship that takes about 12 years. So it's several election cycles down the road. Sure. And they don't have an immediate effect, because what winds up happening is if you give immediate citizenship, then that has the potential, and depending on the districts, especially congressionally, because let's say a lot of these people, if they're living near the border, in those border districts, especially in California where it's so populated, some of those districts, every 2 years get decided by anywhere between, a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand of votes. So if you immediately grant the legalization, then that's going to swing the election. They'll swing it for the Republicans or for the Democrats. Yeah. So that's the reason why I would say I want to see them get a pathway to citizenship, but not an immediate pathway to citizenship. And in hand, on the flip side of that, if you build that border wall, it's time to start enforcing immigration law. Like, they talk about Trump like he's this racist, xenophobe, and he doesn't like Mexicans and brown people. Nobody deported as many people as Barack Obama. People don't talk about that. Right. And the truth of the matter is we do need to deport a lot of people. I think, like I said, it's to me, upwards of about 15 to 25 million people. The former president of Mexico stated that his best estimate of how many illegal immigrants, because they track how many people are passing through in caravans from Central America, and then how many of their own citizens are sneaking into America. There's estimates from him that says he thinks it's as high as 30 million that are in here in this country. We've got to start like a smash and grab operation tantamount to what they did in the 1950s under Eisenhower, where they targeted the specific industries that were harboring this sort of illegal labor and go in and grab people in mass and get them deep into Mexico. I mean, there was a program in the 1950s from Eisenhower that operated with about 7 airplanes and about like 50 buses. And they were just grabbing people and getting them out of the country. And I agree with that type of tactic. You have to be aggressive, because what winds up happening is if you do that initially, you could do it for like a month or two. You're going to scare everybody else into leaving. Well, sure. And once they don't have that sanctuary environment, they will want to leave.
What they don't realize either is that you can't claim sanctuary status or a refugee status unless you're actually the border of the country next to you. So you can't travel through 5 different countries in order to get here and try and claim some type of refugee status. We got a bottom of the hour break coming up. Can you stick over with one more segment with us?
sure.
I love it. I appreciate it very much. Julio Rivera, we got lots more to cover. I want to talk about the DACA program itself and how we move forward from here and how we can actually try and fix this issue. It's the Voice of Reason. It's a Wednesday. Don't go anywhere right here. Radio, TV, online streaming all over the place.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the Voice of Reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you today on a Wednesday. We have so much to get to today. So I don't know if you heard the news or not, but the autonomous zone, CHOP, Chaz, whatever the heck you want to call it, that is no more. It is done. Finito. It is finished. As according to the New York Post, the Seattle mayor finally, Mayor Jenny Durkan, authorized police to remove protesters who are, quote, unlawfully occupying Cal Anderson Park area, and persons who refuse or intentionally fail to obey this closure or move or disperse from the area will be subject to arrest. So finally, now she's the one, remember, that did the interview that said, well, we can just have a party the whole summer. I don't know. When is it going to be done? When are you going to wrap them up? Well, I don't know. We'll just have a summer of a party. 2 kids have died in there, by the way, because the yahoos carry firearms that hate the Second Amendment, and they hate walls, so they put borders around it, and it's been a joke. So, because of that, I promise you we will play. As you know, we like to do our fun little bits, and we have come up with our Voice of Reason latest product, our Voice of Reason satire infomercial, and we'll do that right before the end of the show. Little radio tease for you, so you got to wait till the end in order to hear it, but I think today, I was going to wait and do it tomorrow. Today's perfect. Today's perfect to do it with the autonomous zone being broken up and finally being over. So we'll play our Voice of Reason's latest product here in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere with that. But I had to get this, keep him on one more segment, and I really appreciate him hanging out with us a little bit longer. Julio Rivera, he is the editorial director for reactionarytimes.com, a great website. You're not going to want to miss this. This is where you get real news without the craziness and the spin, so to speak, from the mainstream media. And Julio, let's talk about DACA for a second as well. The DREAM Act was pushed so hard by Democrats when Barack Obama was in office. The DREAM Act still has not gone through. The Democrats still want the DREAM Act. And when Donald Trump talked about trying to do immigration reform, they wanted to try and push the DREAM Act again, and it still hasn't gone anywhere. So what Barack Obama did was, well, you're not going to pass it through Congress. I'm just going to sign my executive order of DACA, and we're just going to call it good for now until you can actually pass the DREAM Act and make it a congressional piece of legislation that I can sign and make it permanent. So why, again, and we kind of asked at the beginning, why was he not allowed, was Donald Trump not allowed to repeal this by just signing and saying, I repeal this executive order? Was it because the Supreme Court says that there's too many people on it and it would affect too many people's lives? Like, what was the reasoning, and why can't we just repeal this just like that? I don't get it.
Well, it should be. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like I said, I mean, I just go back to the Constitution, and if you look at Article 3, this is a matter that the Supreme Court should not even have heard these cases. Mm-hmm. These cases are not within, I feel legally, if you're really going by the letter of the law, I don't think DACA was within the jurisdiction or elements or like basically what Trump was trying to do, you know, which is basically to undo it, falls under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. That's my big issue with what's happened over the last couple of weeks. And then on top of it, then you have to look at, the dissenting opinion, or actually the opinion for, which was Roberts with the majority. This is just another case of John Roberts still doing the bidding of Barack Obama. I mean, we can go back to Obamacare and his decision there, basically, rewriting, legislating from the bench on Obamacare. And that's the reason why we still have that atrocity. I'm still looking for, what the compromising photographs of John Roberts that Barack Obama must possess, because I swear, it's like you wouldn't think he was a Bush appointment. I mean, this guy loves Obama more than Sotomayor. Mm-hmm. I mean, basically with some of the decision making he's made. This supposed conservative Supreme Court hasn't really worked out, I think, in just to kind of go off to the main subject for a second, the way that President Trump has wanted it to on a couple of different issues. And it's a shame because President Trump, the one signature thing that I think that Trump has done that a lot of people don't realize, and it's going to be felt for generations ahead, in front of us, is going to be the fact that he remade the district court system. He has nominated and confirmed waves of new judges. He's even done a lot to remake the Ninth Circuit Court, which was for a lot of years the most conservative court in the country, and it's becoming more conservative every year. And it's a shame. I mean, it's like it almost seems like everybody is against this guy.
Yeah.
And they're not really going to ride with it.
Yeah.
As long as he's president, and with God willing, he'll be president until 2025, till January 2025. But the biggest mistake I think that he made was not cleaning house when he got there. I think he had bad people around him, people like Reince Priebus, establishment snakes, people who, kind of wanted to keep the status quo. And that's the reason why we haven't gotten as many things done as we should have. I think that's the reason why when we had both chambers, we weren't able to do health care. We weren't able to do comprehensive immigration reform. The only thing we ever got to do, really, that was a signature Trump policy that he campaigned on was the tax reform.
Right.
But, we'll see what winds up happening going forward.
Well, you're right. I mean, when he got elected in there, everybody wanted to change in the clean house. And I think a lot of Republicans assumed, even in the establishment Republicans, the RNC and so on and so forth, they expected just to go with the flow, just kind of do the same old, because that's what they're used to. They've been in D.C. for 20, 30 years, and that's just, okay, a new guy's in there. It may change a little bit, but we're not going to really overhaul like he talked about. And he tried to fight it, and he had to fight against both sides, unfortunately, in many cases. The question is, let's move forward. How do we do this from now? If, let's say that Donald Trump gets reelected, which I believe he will, let's hope that we maintain a majority in the Senate, which I believe we will, and let's hope that we can re-maintain a majority or gain a majority again in the House of Representatives, which I believe we possibly can, and it's very likely. If we have a majority across the board again, will we actually do immigration reform? Will we actually get Obamacare repealed? Will we get these things done, or will we shoot ourselves in the foot again because we bicker amongst ourselves like Republicans do so often and so well?
Well, I look at it like this. I don't think that we're ever really going to get immigration reform done, because the fact of the matter is a lot of people like this cheap labor. I think a lot of the illegal immigrant labor and what it does to drive down wages and things like that appeals to a lot of corporatists, believe it or not. And I don't necessarily believe that it's the intention to fix that problem the way that I think conservatives want to fix it. I think that let's say the 1/3 of legislators that are true conservatives, and you can go to Heritage Foundation, or you can go to Conservative Review and read the scorecards and see how they voted on things over the years. The non-rhinos, I think, want comprehensive immigration reform. They're America first. I mean, if you're a conservative, you're obviously America first. But I think we have a lot of people that really just don't subscribe to that, and they want to keep the visa programs going. They want to get all the STEM labor here for cheap. They want to get all the seasonal agricultural workers coming in on visas, and then we never enforce those visas, and then those people never leave. And, for some people, that status quo is not a problem, but for killed America, it winds up hurting the communities of, and that's understood why blacks in America are Democrats.
Right.
Because when you look at it, the immigration hurts them more than anyone else. And I don't understand on a lot of levels why blacks are Democrats. But I mean, we can have a whole separate show on that. But particularly on that immigration issue, and Barack Obama, the first black president, wants to go ahead and never really fix the problem, never shore up the border. And like I said, I mean, he did deport a lot of people, but if you don't close the border, what's the point? And if you're sending a message to the rest of the world that we're going to start to create by executive fiat programs that protect people who are residing in America illegally, it just sends a signal to the world that, the water's good, let's come in here. And then this increased lawlessness and all these ridiculous cities and states. I think Jerry Brown was horrible when he was governor of California, with all the protections. And he's the one that initially started these programs that, gave illegal immigrants driver's licenses. And then at the same turn, he started motor voter laws. So there were a lot of illegal immigrants that got driver's license and got registered to vote in error and illegally. Not even an error, it's just an illegal action. Look at all the issues that we've had with, the voter registration problems in California. California, a place that has a plethora of congressional districts. And like I said, because of the way it's gerrymandered, I mean, a lot of these districts come down to just a couple of hundred votes, a couple of thousand votes. These are things that are very easy to steal with problems with registration. And obviously now with the voter ballots going out, people say, oh, it's no big deal that they're going to do the mail-in voting in New York, in California, in a couple of the states that Trump is probably going to lose. Not necessarily Michigan. Michigan's a problem. But if you do it in New York and California, people say it's no big deal because Trump wasn't going to win that state anyway. But no, it is a big deal because of the congressional district. That's the reason why I believe, and I hate to say this, I believe Trump will win the presidency, and I think he'll win it big. But I think that the Democrats are probably going to keep the House because of that voter fraud, that mail-in voting. And don't be surprised if several other states that have Democratic mayors wind up engaging in the same mail-in vote, the mass mail-in voting strategy.
No, I'm right there with you. I mean, the mail-in voting is going to be a serious issue, and they're going to blame the virus. We can't go to the polls, so on and so forth, and they're going to try and open up that door. And the gerrymandering has always been an issue where they can squeak out just a few more votes in certain districts to swing them the other way. I love it. Julio Rivera, make sure to check it out, reactionarytimes.com. Brother, you got to be a regular on the show. We got to get you back on real soon.
Thank you so much. It was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it very much. We'll get him back on very soon. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap up the program. We have a Voice of Reason product we need to unveil for you and more as we wrap up a Wednesday here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online. Online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Man, what a show. It flies right on by. What a great guest. We're going to get him on as a regular, if I can speak today, as a regular guest. Julio Rivera, we appreciate him very much. That was awesome. Great conversation. Again, if you want to listen to it again, you can always go to the podcast and download it. Go to HoosierReason.com. You can go to any of your podcasting platforms on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all that jazz. You can subscribe there as well and listen to all of the shows. We've seen a massive uptick in all those recently, and we thank you so much for that. All right, I have limited time, so I want to get right to it. Here's the big story of the day. Which is really funny because no one really reported it today other than just a little blurb in the news. That was about it. But Seattle's autonomous no-cop zone, CHOP, Chaz, whatever you want to call it, is gone. Mayor Jenny Durkin said peoples who refuse or intentionally fail to obey this closure order to move and disperse from the area will be subject to arrest, according to the NYPost.com, as they finally have gotten rid of the unlawfully occupied Cal Anderson Park. They've also signed a way to create a buffer, a security buffer around the area and the police precincts in those areas, waiting for retaliation from the autonomous individuals. Waiting for rebellion from Antifa. So, I thought I was going to release this tomorrow, but after hearing that news, I figured, why the heck not? We just need to release it today. As you know, we come out with our Voice of Reason products, which you can find it at HoosierReason.com, and you can download it for audio download for your listening pleasure as well. And if you go to the special features tab on HoosierReason.com. But we come out with our Voice of Reason products and our infomercials for certain products that people may or may not enjoy. And what better time, now that the autonomous zone is broken up, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? How are they going to unite or at least even find each other as members of Antifa since their little clan or their community is broken up? We have a solution. And it's called the Voice of Reason Antifa Rebel Call. And here's the latest Voice of Reason product for Antifa members to find each other in times of distress. It's the Voice of Reason Antifa Rebel Call.
Have you tried to start your own revolution to end systematic oppression, destroy the evil, greedy capitalist system, redistribute other people's belongings, or put an end to hate speech, but just aren't getting the support you need? Well, now you can.
It's time for us to do Bash Bash! I hate Nazis so much. I believe it's my duty to verbally and physically attack anyone that's not on my side. That's totally the anti-fascist way of life. People need to see what true tolerance of people, beliefs, and ideas really looks like.
Get all the following and support you want with the all-new Voice of Reason Antifa Rebel Call. Just sound off and let your fellow revolutionists know you are ready for the ultimate takedown of society.
The Antifa Rebel Call was the perfect way to find my fellow anti-fascist brothers, sisters, and unknowns. And it works fast. The time I stepped out of my masculinity confession booth, I wiped the tears away, reapplied my mascara war paint, reconsidered my gender identity, and told my mom to make dinner late tonight. I had 10 other rebel fighters with me, ready to raise some hell.
I love my Antifa Rebel Call. Every time I sound it, I feel ready to destroy statues, burn buildings, and find the red hats. I don't know what MAGA means, but I can tell you it's MAGA lame. Once they hear my Antifa Rebel Call, they'll know we mean business.
The Antifa Rebel Call is perfect to fend off oppressors like the Constitution, natural rights, the American flag, and the ever-favorite rational thought. And your Antifa Rebel Call can work simultaneously as your safe space meditative sound. Now available in an audio download, you can listen to your Antifa Rebel Call whenever you feel triggered from the world.
I turned on the radio today and I heard someone talking about how they believed in an equal opportunity capitalist system, and I felt extremely triggered. OMG, it almost ruined my day. Luckily, I went to the nearest Starbucks, I put my cordless headphones into my brand new iPhone, and I listened to my Antifa Rebel Call to settle me down and remind me that redistribution and government control over private industry makes my life so much better.
Order your Antifa Rebel Call today and receive a second absolutely free. Don't we all love free stuff? Now you can spread your message to more people with double the toughness. The Voice of Reason's Antifa Rebel Call. The rebel inside you awaits.
Wow. There it is, the Antifa Rebel Call. Check it out online at HoosierReason.com. And you can download that audio for your listening pleasure. Let me know your thoughts all over the comments on social media, whether you like it or not as well. The Antifa Rebel Call from the Voice of Reason, the latest product. Let us know your thoughts when we play it again tomorrow to wrap it up as we get ready for a holiday. Until then, let's have some fun, shall we? It's time for us to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. It sounds like a dying moose. But hey, you know what? It's soothing for some individuals like maybe Antifa. Who knows? Now they can identify each other. Everybody have a great Wednesday afternoon. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hoosier. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.